Got my Superman thing on today. Gotta reveal it. That's what we're talking about.
Batman.
Okay. We're not in any conflict with that then. Hi, Universal. My international clients out there, how are you doing today? We're going to get started very quickly here on KUHSdenver.com. In fact, real soon because we're getting there. It's almost 11 o'clock. Are we on? Oh, hi, everybody. I'm here. I'm rocking it. So let's get started.
Oh, America! Are you serious? It is showtime, baby! Here we go! Grand Champ Slam! Man, it's awesome!
360 Mindset, sharing skills and drills wrapped by stories from elite performers and your favorite sports pros. So take your first step. Speak your first word with a foundation of positive thought that comes from 360 Mindset and your host, Coach Whiteman. Oh, Whiteman. Let's get started. No excuses.
No excuses, and there's March Madness in the house for March. Coming up to the finals this week is going to be the semifinal rounds all across the country. We've got some great games coming up, and if you're like me, your bracket's been busted. Well, mine has, as well as everybody else. I think I've got one left, and literally one left. One team left on my bracket, which is for the finals, and I'm betting that Villanova wins the NCAA finals. That's if they even get there. That's what's extraordinary about this there is that we've got this great competition where records were set with the number 16 seed beating a number 1 for, I believe, the first time ever. And then you've got those Cinderella players at Loyola of Chicago with their wonderful spiritual mentor. The sister is there for every game prior to the game, starting it off with prayer and getting them focused on what's really important about them. Well, today we're going to talk about March Madness as well as talking about a number of different things regarding the leagues and what leagues are starting, what leagues are finishing. I think for many of you, you know what's starting, and that's the finals for March Madness, as I just said, but also Major League Baseball. Very soon, in the next 10 days, you're going to have the opening days across the leagues and the different conferences across the Major League Baseball. You've also got both PGA and LPGA golf getting started as the NBA begins to conclude itself to end their season for tournament. You know, it's amazing. When I was a kid, the NBA was many times, well, not many times, it was often finished by about this time. Well, now with the number of games that are in the season for the NBA players, it's actually gone to where they finish the finals almost into June. Now, that's not bad. I'm going to say I'm not complaining at all. But that's coming up as a league, as that league ends and baseball begins. And then you've got the beginning of the league, but not necessarily getting close to game play, which is the NFL. The NFL will be having their draft in April down in Texas at the dome down there where Johnson's got his great, wonderful stadium down there for the Dallas Cowboys. We'll have some information about that. And we'll also be talking at 11:30 at halftime through our show. We're going to be talking to Colin Cole from wonderful East Coast. Colin just attended a NFL session. He's also an NFL alum. He's also an alumni from the University of Iowa, which is my alma mater, for undergraduate work. We'll be talking to him about his impressions of the draft and what's coming up. We'll also be talking about what's coming up with the mock draft and the path to the draft for those NFL rookie prospects, and giving you some updates on what's going on in the NFL as it relates to draft. But there's a lot of pontificating going on and a lot of things happening with the NFL. But we're going to start off with talking about Major League Baseball, professional golf, which is both the LPGA and the PGA. And we're going to start off with the LPGA. You know, I don't know about you, but the thing that's really amazing to me is the level of play with women's golf and how far it's come. You know, there's back in the day when I was younger, and, you know, everybody should know I'm old, just as old as Henry Archuleta. You know, we're both about this. We are the same age. I think I might be older. Not by very many weeks, but needless to say, back in the day, women's golf was not a big thing. Names like Nancy Lopez come to mind for me, going back that far. But now, the women's golfers, I mean, they're hitting the ball a long ways with no forgiveness for tee location. Exactly. And we should know that. We should be honored in the fact that we have these many memories and we can recall them. So that's what's going on with me, and we're looking back at these leagues. So as the LPGA starts off, let me just give you some numbers here with what's happening in the current tournament that's going on. We've got a good representation internationally in women's golf, probably more so than even the men's tournament tour for the PGA. The current tournament the women are in, we've got Jackie Stolting is in the number 2 spot through the first round with a 66. We've got the leader there is Hee Young Park, who is from South Korea. And then we have Carolyn Hedwald is the number 3. So that's Hee Park, Jackie Stolting, that's her name is so tough for me to say, Stolting, and then Caroline Hedwall are the top 3 golfers. Then the number 4 golfer is another South Korean, Kuyang Kim from South Korea. And they'll be starting round number 2 today, I believe. Now, with that being said, here's some other things that are starting that had to stop, that were finished. Everybody thought that Tiger Woods was going to be gone. Well, he is back. And he was back with the FedEx tournament where he finished, I think, in the top 20. Now, that was awfully impressive for him, and even more so impressive for women golfers. Women golfers were very impressed with him coming back. In fact, many of them admitted that it was because of Tiger Woods that they got involved in golfing at all and then excelled at it. In fact, I'll read you some quotes from the LPGA News, actually PGA and LPGA News, where Cheyenne Wood, his niece, for Tiger, she said she was counting down the minutes until his tee time. With that being said, Jessica Korda tweeted multiple times and even took to Snapchat to express her excitement and admission that it was because of his interest, or her interest in him, that she even follows golf, and that there are many LPGA players that attribute their interest in golf as kids to Tiger's success. So a lot of people are glad that he's back, and he's back at the level he's at with regard to his most recent finish. And at the FedEx Cup, Tiger finished 12th at the Honda Classic, and was his best since 2015, and it resulted in a big jump in both his FedEx Cup positioning and his official World Cup ranking. So Woods jumped 49 spots to number 113 in the FedEx Cup standings after earning a 65 at his performance at the PGA Nationals. So far, he's earned 100 total points this season for the FedEx Cup. And so let me just read. Now, that's interesting because for the FedEx Cup tournament, Tiger's the only two-time winner of that tournament, which is kind of interesting. But coming back to a focus on women's golf, we'll get back to PGA in just a minute. Another thing that started up is the women's professional soccer league, National Women's Soccer League. The last year's outstanding player was Abby Dahlkemper. She was crowned the Defender of the Year in 2017. She's with the North Carolina Courage. Then on this Saturday, the National Women's Soccer League will begin its sixth season with a rematch of last year's championship. The reigning champs Portland Thorns visit with North Carolina, the Courage, with Dahlkemper's team at 3:30 Eastern Time on Lifetime. Lifetime has picked up the contract for the National Women's Soccer League, so you can go to Lifetime and look at their listings for listings of women's professional soccer. They'll be performing at the Shaylin Stadium in Wake Med Soccer Park in Cary, North Carolina on Saturday. That would be tomorrow. Now, as we continue on in our first segment, it's about mindset. So you just think about this. You're getting ready. You're out there. You're an athlete, high school, college, pro, whatever it is. You're starting these leagues because many times women's soccer coincides with all those amateur leagues out there. They're starting up their seasons as well. And this is a big weekend for women's soccer. The entire weekend is filled with opening games. And the game of the week up first is the Orlando Pride hosting the newest National Women's Soccer League team, the Utah Royals. Their game is at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Go 90. And then to close out Saturday, the Washington Spirit travel to Seattle Reign. That's the Seattle Reign. At 10 p.m. Eastern Time, it's again a kickoff on Go 90. Then they continue on Sunday. Houston Dash plays Chicago Red Stars. That starts at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on, again, Go 90. And I think you should really take a real look at women's soccer because these are some tough athletes. Here's an example of that. Amy Rodriguez, she's a gold medalist, Olympic gold medalist in soccer. but she should feel like royalty with regard to her play in professional soccer. And it mainly feeling like royalty because of all those great, wonderful things that make her cozy and feel good and wonderful at the Utah Royals. That's one of the reasons why she's royalty. Or it could be that the fact that she, as a forward, she is back in the NWSL, National Women's Soccer League, for a combination of two reasons. One, she gave birth to her second child, a boy, and she was. This is really amazing. She shortly after she came back from that, she came back to the playoffs and scored a goal. And she's a two-time champion in 2014 and 2015, in addition to being a two-time Olympic gold medalist. So that's another reason for her to be considered as royalty. But last season, Rodriguez took the field for her Royals. For the FCKC team for the first time since missing her prior season after giving birth to her second son, as I said. And in pure royal fashion, Rodriguez scored in the 48th minute the goal in the overtime to beat Boston. And then, even though that happened, she incurred an ACL injury during that game and has been recovering in the last 10 months to regain her position as a starter this year for the Royals. So that's a tough lady, a tough mom. That's a great example for young soccer players to, one, have no excuses, evaluate it, understand what you're facing, but understand that there's a lot of people setting the stage for you, like Amy Rodriguez, in the way she approaches the game and her training. You just imagine she has to be well trained, as well as her mindset to come out of events like that. ACL injury, not to mention giving birth to her second child and recovering from that. Guys, we'll never know what it takes to recover from pregnancy and to get, we think about six-pack abs. Well, get it together, guys. We need to be a little bit more empathetic about and appreciative of the training that it takes for these young women to go through being a pro and then facing these kinds of issues on the field of play, and watching what they do on the field and seeing how they accomplish things. So that being said, follow Major League Soccer. Women's Major League Soccer opens this weekend, starting tomorrow, and then continuing through Sunday. Then continuing with the golf setup, with what the leagues are doing. The PGA, we talked a little bit about Tiger and what's going on there. But one of the things that's starting is Tony Romo. Tony Romo was in the Dominican Republic at Punta Cana, and he was in a PGA tournament, the Corrales Punta Cana Resort and Club Championship, where he shot a 5/77 at that tournament. Now that's interesting. Tony he's trying. The leader there was a 63, so he's trying to make himself present as a golf pro. He might have a chance. He's young enough. He could make it happen. But with that being said, looking at the youngsters in PGA golf, we have an interesting thing going on that's starting with the PGA golf is getting going. They do some match play stuff. Now I don't know how many of you heard about match play, but this is really competitive stuff where everybody competes against one another. And now the match play is going on into in its second round. Pairings. So on the first setup, it's four match play with four people, and the winner of those four goes on to the next, which is now the pairs. And Jordan Spieth won his, and Patrick Reed won his. Now those two guys have competed against each other on a routine basis, so they're lovable competitors. They like each other, I'm presuming, because the way the comments from the news is talking about how the two guys they're about the same age. Well, no, Spieth is a little younger, but they're pretty close to being the same age, and they enjoy things about golf, but the more they try to beat each other, that seems the more they love to play, and the more chance they want to play against each other. And Patrick Reed had the comment when they were playing international competition where he and Jordan were paired with each other. He said, my back is getting sore because of carrying Jordan Spieth through their winning match against, I believe that it was Britain that they were playing. So that's kind of a dig at Jordan. But this time, what's at stake is it's winner take all in the World Golf Championships Dell Technologies Match Play Tournament this weekend. So you win or go home on this particular situation. So as I said, Spieth and Reed both did their part on Thursday by winning their matches for a second straight day to set up a showdown on the skirts of Hill Country in Texas. This is where the tournament, the Dell Technologies Match Play Tournament, is at. So they play today to determine who wins the group and advances to the weekend for the World Golf Championship. Now, there's an amazing amount of money in this match play. It's $1.9 million is being divided up amongst those playing Saturday and Sunday. Well, I think there's probably some money for everybody else if you finished at a certain level, but that's the way it is. Now, what's been happening over my shoulder for those of you who are watching, and by the way, let me just take a look. We've got a lot of great listeners and viewers all over the world, from Peru, Thailand, Italy, Malaysia, as well as France and New York and San Francisco, one of my favorite places. We'll be talking a little bit about Cafe de la Culture and their Courageous Vulnerability session is going to be going on Saturday, tomorrow at 6 p.m. in San Francisco. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. As a promo, we're coming up to our first little break to chat a little bit. So before I go into the Major League Baseball and then talk a little bit about that at opening day, let's remind you of the sponsors we have for our show. Please check out my website at 360mindset.com. Got a number of great things there for you. If you're interested in knowing who you are at a very deep level, almost cellular level, to understand, who am I? Why am I here? Why do I do the things I do? Basically, what are your human desires that drive you to make decisions about what's good for you? Now, many of us don't take the time to really investigate that. Well, I've got a quick and easy way for you to go to the website and go to services and check out the RMP16 personal assessment on human desires so that you can measure 16 ways that you address the world and what are my focuses on that so that you can get some feedback about what are the kinds of traits that I have and the desires I have that make me who I am. So with knowing that and having that knowledge, you could be better off at communicating with others and understanding how their response will impact you and address your desires. Now, so taking that forward, please look at 360mindset.com and take a look at the services tab. We've got a new look on the website, and hopefully it's a little bit easier for you to find what you need for high performance service from 360mindset.com. All right, so we're about 22 minutes after the hour here at KUHSdenver.com, having a great time with the leagues. What's going on in the leagues? League updates. Looking at all the different sports leagues, both at a professional level, but also knowing that when the professional leagues start, it's probably pretty good guess that the local community, college, and high school leagues are also getting going. They tend to follow the time frames of the professionals as well. So we're going to talk about opening day. It's coming. Less than 10 days away. It's nearly upon us. The 2018 season will officially get underway on Thursday, March 29th. That's next week, March 29th. So whether you're already excited about opening day or you need just a little bit of a push, just a little nudge to get yourself out of those winter doldrums, the video that's playing behind me has got a little segment of the opening day video. Notice that on that baseball video, when you look at YouTube for the 2018 season opening day, it opens up with Mr. Arenado. He is our third baseman for the Rockies. Expected to be have another premier season for himself. My hope for him is that that passion that's inside of him, that drives him, is going to be focused on he accomplishing what he needs to for him first. It's important to do that before you try to help others. So in the skill side of things, be aware of your environment. Make sure it takes you into yourself first. Be a little selfish. Have that swagger. As you see over my shoulder, you see some of the highlights of the opening season 2018, highlights of 2017, both for those who succeeded at a high level and some of those who did not. It was great to watch the World Series this year with the Dodgers and the Houston Astros. You see a lot of highlights of that, but you also see the saddened faces in the dugout or in the locker room, in the clubhouse, of when it didn't happen. But one of the things that is happening for the new season, because it's new, it's opening day, get that excitement, is the Miami Marlins are doing some stuff, and their theme song is being changed, because recognize the fact that they've got new ownership at the Marlins. And we've got a little bit of that video that's going to be playing behind me as well, where DJ Khaled was commissioned to go in and be focused on creating a better and newer sound for the Miami Marlins. And it's called Just Getting Started, is what their theme song is called. And DJ Khaled is one of the best. He's a talented young man and father, baseball fan. So he's interested and has created, so check it out on YouTube, the new sound that the Marlins are bringing to it. It's got that three-step rhythm to it. It's got that caliente kind of thing going on, rocking it. You see behind me the people that created that beat, that lick for getting the feeling. So you fans are going to have these phrases you're going to be able to say, and just getting it started, getting it happening. You can't imagine the amount of talent that went into creating this. Jason Pooh Bear Boyd and the Jingle Punks that created the sound, that created the team, along with the hit maker himself, DJ Khaled. And DJ Khaled's got his own little phrase. He goes, another one. So there's a lot of great things to see in this new image from the Marlins with their new ownership. You have down there in Miami. It should be a great season. It's going to be a great place to go just to have fun, regardless of where the Marlins go in the season. But I tell you what, with the talent they have and images like this and rhythms to create the environment. We talk about that all the time here. The mental conditioning is all about the environment. And I think the Miami Marlins are going to be creating a great image for the season. Now, that being said, the Tigers versus the Phillies this week, 5 players were ejected. A Tiger pitcher, 2 Phillies pitchers, a Philly manager, and a bench coach were tossed out of the game. This is preseason. This is either the Grapefruit League or the Cactus League. And we got 5 people ejected. Well, apparently the umpires wanted to make a statement at the beginning of this season that if you're going to be a pitcher throwing the ball and it looks like you intentionally trying to bean somebody or move them out of the box, even though it doesn't touch the guy, which is the case here with these ejections, it may be a little bit too sensitive. Another thing that started this season is pontificators. Big Papi, he's saying the Yanks are a team to beat in the American League East this year. Now remember, Big Papi would compete against the Yankees. He's Boston Red Sox. He's the man with the Red Sox. But he also says, as the former slugger for the Red Sox, that Boston is in a favorable position. So he hedges his bet. So take a look at that. If you're into watching the MLB news, Big Papi has his predictions, and he's looking at the Yankees as a team to beat in the American League East. So we're going to come into our next break here in just a second, but in doing that, I'm going to make a phone call to my friend and colleague down in on the East Coast in South Carolina, Colin Cole. We're going to get Colin on the phone and ring him in here. So going to crank it up. You can hear it with me. Colin, where are you, Colin? That's my musical interlude behind the scenes. We're having a great day today. Colin. Well, we'll come back to Colin. He's probably on the phone. We'll ring him up in just a second. So we're coming close to our break. I told him 1:30 his time, which is 11:30 for us. So we're going to be going into our talking about the NFL as the next league. But before we do that, let me talk about Empower Oil. Empower Oil. If you go to empoweroil.com or just Google Empower Oil, and you'll be in touch with wonderful Trista and Michelle that are creating these wonderful CBD cannabis-based oils, spa-like oils. Awesome products. And I say that because I use them. Now, if I was into spa and spa treatments and all that kind of stuff, which I am, kind of, sort of, but more importantly, I've got aches and pains from all the injuries and the bumps and bruises I took over the years as a catcher in baseball, as a point guard in basketball, and being bumped and bruised around as a football player. And boy, I tell you what, Empower Oil, the cannabis oil on my joints, within seconds, minutes maybe, but I want to say seconds, the pain and irritation goes away, and I'm not left with an oil, greasy feeling, and none of that balm smell, that like icy hot kind of smell, not there at all. This is truly a spa treatment kind of feeling. It's awesome. So check out Empower Oil and give it a try, because it's extremely good for those aches and pains. It's also very good at soothing skin irritations. If you've got, I'm not talking about like an irritation from poison ivy or poison oak, anything like that, because that would be go to a doctor or a dermatologist. If it's just like you got just an irritation from playing a sport, or maybe it's just a light abrasion that you got, a scratch or something, that'll help that as well, because there's some moisturizing components to the oil. We're going to give one more. That's Empower Oil. We're going to give Colin another shot here. Give him another call. I think he sent me a text. Okay, he's ready. He says, "I'm ready for you, sir. I'm ready for you." I don't know whose voice that was. Was that? Yeah, that might have been. I pity the fool voice. Here we go. We're calling him up. Colin. Colin, you there? Hey, buddy. All right, stay in one place. Talk clearly and crisply into your microphone, and we're off. This is, as you know, KUHS Denver.com and the 360 Performance Talk show. We're talking to Colin Cole, alumni of the University of Iowa, alumni of the NFL, and as I've done in the past, I'll do it again for you, my friend. I think I've got my where's my Iowa Fights on? Oh, Iowa Fights on.
You said what?
I'm gonna put the Iowa Fights on. Oh yeah, man, I gotta bring you in with the Iowa Fights on. Here we go. Listen to this. Yeah, we're with Colin Cole, University of Iowa alumni and alumni of the NFL. The last team you played for, Colin, was the Panthers in South Carolina, but the one that I know you from the most is up there in Wisconsin land, the Cheeseheads, the Green Bay Packers. So now that we play away the Iowa Fight song, Colin, what is it you're doing right now? What keeps you busy?
What is it I'm doing right now, right this moment?
Well, you're talking to me right this moment, for crying out loud.
Right, absolutely. Well, currently, okay, so I just got back from LA. I was a part of an programs. It was out there at USC on the Annenberg campus, out at the Annenberg Hall.
Yeah.
It was a great opportunity to be with some of their professors and get opportunity to really get to know some of the ins and outs of public speaking as well as marketing and so on and so forth. So it was a great program that NFL was putting on. It's the inaugural program, and so I was great. I was blessed to be a part of a group of guys that I looked up to growing up playing, as well as some young guys that are still in the league that are some forward thinkers that are definitely capitalizing on their opportunities to speak before public kids or any other platform.
So drop some names on us, Colin. Who was NFL elite that was there helping you out?
So I got an opportunity to meet some guys such as that I watched. You may not know huge names, but I know out there on the West Coast, Donnie Edwards, the great linebacker that played for the Chiefs for a number of years.
Oh yeah.
He was the program. He was a great guy. Got opportunity to talk to him just a little bit and to share with him the fact that he was one of the guys that growing up I got an opportunity to watch and he performed at a very high level. It was, kind of crossed over into my career as well during that time. So, great guy. Another guy that I got to meet was University of Illinois defensive coordinator Hardy Nickerson, who was when I was young was a middle linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So
Yeah.
I grew up in South Florida. I watched the Dolphins play, watched San Marino, Keith Pryor, Urban Fryer, some of those guys, but then Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's when they had All-Star, they had Ward Dunn, they had this guy Hardy Nickerson, and they just had a dominant defense. And it was got a chance to see those guys and meet those guys. And it was pretty interesting. Everybody has different walks of life, different passions, different things they're getting into these days, but we all came together with the aspirations of finding out more about public speaking and taking the opportunity to get to know some of the industry leaders and some of their tips and got to meet one of the fellow NFL alumni, Marcus Alden, brother of Jonathan Alden, Hall of Fame offensive tackle Jonathan Alden, who has a very interesting story himself and really gave some great intricate insight into how he made the transition from football into the public speaking realm and how he's able to speak before some of these corporate sponsors and how his work. So it's great informational opportunity.
Well, Colin, you mentioned some names that I hope that young people who are listening or moms and dads of young people recognize. I mean, I recognize Donnie Edwards. I watched him and Hardy Nickerson. They're great men that do some wonderful things around the country. And so that's where I want to take us now is you have the Cole Group, the colegroup.com is your website. And you have a lot of focus on youth and community. Tell my listeners a little bit about why that's important that NFL players, both current and retired, focus their attention on community and youth.
Well, for me, I have to attribute that to my beautiful wife, who I have to mention is if nothing else, she's a motivator factor in my life that has helped me really make that leap and make that commitment and make that understanding. It's something that I've been doing since I was my days in Green Bay, like you mentioned earlier. So it was a situation where she kind of helped me, guide me along to the path of being philanthropic. So much so that I took the challenge of doing multitude of community services, opportunities, and graduations, and just speaking engagements. And she was really been a factor in that. And so I say that to say the Cole Group is the birth child of both of us. And I'm in support of what we both do. And my wife, Dr. Kay Cole, is actually currently running for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society here in Charlotte, Man and Woman of the Year campaign. And so it's a 10-week campaign that we're trying to raise as much money as we possibly can to go directly towards Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's foundation. And so the winner of either of these man and woman will be the person who's able to raise the most money throughout the country. And so we have a pretty lofty goal, but my wife is up to the task. And that's when you ask the question, what am I doing right now?
Yeah.
It's working on securing sponsorship. It's working on securing, kind of going through my mail list, getting out to go through some of the people that I've known over the years and kind of see who would be willing to be philanthropic and working with us to kind of help one of the leading researchers out there in the country doing some really, I want to say, honestly, they're doing some really great things out there, and they're finding cures for one of the major blood cancers in our country. And so that's what I'm working on currently. I actually have a twist to this whole thing that I'm working on currently. I could mention it to you right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
So since I have been playing football 13 years, I've been with my wife now 15 years, and the last time I cut my hair off, it was 2001 was the last time I had a pair of clippers that went through my hair. So in that, I was looking for a way that I could fully commit myself to this cause and try to help her reach her goal. And I set a lofty goal myself of trying to reach $50,000. In an effort to do so, I plan on cutting my hair off, which I've been growing for 17 years, and trying to get people to buy in and raise money that way.
Now, Colin, on your website, do you have both the Leukemia Man and Woman of the Year announcement as well as your challenge to people?
I have not set up my challenge yet. I'm working on the verbiage to do so, so this is actually the announcement that has just been made. It hasn't been publicized yet, but it is going to be. So everybody who's a listener right now, it's for the first time. It will be on my website. There will be links from my website directly to my fundraiser site, and so people go directly to that fundraiser site. I'm trying to raise $50,000, and it all goes directly towards the Human Lymphoma Society. That's LLS, Man and Woman of the Year, who I'm promoting my wife, Dr. K. Cole, for.
Okay, so I'm gonna challenge everybody that's out there. And by the way, I'll say, Lynn, thank you very much. Superman is in the house. Thank you very much. Also, let's be super people and look at Colin Cole's Facebook page, and also the Cole Group. That's with a C. The COLEGREP.com, and make sure that you go there and look for the information about the Leukemia Society, so that you can participate in supporting that wonderful effort and help Colin.
Currently, I just want to say, I don't want to cut you off.
That's all right.
Currently, the easiest way for everybody to get to it, my wife has her own website, and that's kcole.com. That's KAYECOLE.com.
All right, there you go. So let's help that out. Let's make an effort, because that's leukemia, and leukemia research is wonderful. And the kids and patients of leukemia, they need, or what they want in many cases, a wig. And by cutting off your hair and donating it to those support services that do that and move it towards those kids is awesome. Interestingly enough, I made a challenge to a wonderful redhead the other day. She has long, full head of hair. She wants to do it, and I said, look, shave it off, girl. Don't just cut it short. Shave it off. Give him the full Monty of your hair. And if anybody has ever seen Colin Cole, you know that the man has had dreads and long hair for a long time. So that's going to be a great contribution to those in need. Okay, so let me shift gears with you a little bit, Colin. I'm gonna share some headlines with you in the NFL, and some of them are kind of interesting. And I'll start with the last one I've got. And here's the headline. It's Manziel throws at USD's Pro Day for 13 NFL teams. So that means Manziel wants to try to come back from the Browns fiasco that he had as a player. And he's participating in the USD's Pro Day. So, Colin, with the efforts you've made in your career through college, from high school to college to pros, and the amount of attention and preparation you've had to make, what are your thoughts on the challenge that Johnny Manziel has in trying to come back through all the trials and tribulations that he has faced, and try to share it in context to what you would say to kids. And Johnny Manziel, in some respects, is a kid.
You know what? Yeah, but at the same time, I don't necessarily agree because once you make that commitment to be a professional football player, you put yourself on that stage, you cross over.
Yeah.
And whatever baggage you have with you, you have to deal with as a man because it'll either hinder you or it'll be something that you can manage. Obviously, some people can't manage that and they're not able to maintain a career. What does that tell me is, honestly, I knew that he was trying to get into the CFL. Obviously, there's people out there that still believe in his talent, believe in his arm, believe that he can possibly lead an NFL franchise. And that goes to also speak to the level of competition that is out there on the NFL ranks. If there are not enough young arms out there that fires up, that they're willing to go ahead and give a shot to a guy who's proven who he truly is up until this point, then, hey, give him opportunity. Everybody's allowed to make mistakes. We acknowledge your mistakes and move on from it. So,
yeah.
If team is willing to give him opportunity, bring him in for a training camp, he's able to.
Before I move to the next headline, Colin, share with our audience where someone like an NFL pro would get help that's not necessarily related to the X's and O's or your activities on the field, like what Johnny's has gone through, what other players have gone through, and you had your situations with injury and recovery and challenges. What are the pathways you recommend to NFL players or in general just high performance athletes to go when they need help?
The good thing about the NFL that I can honestly say is there is the factor of we have a set number of counseling sessions that we have that we get reimbursed for if we go see counseling or paid for, I should say.
Yeah.
And so they allot that, and I know they allot that across the different sports, giving guys that opportunity. Because honestly, it is a time-consuming, it's a mental drain. It is a situation where I would recommend that everybody who does play professional sports or plays any kind of sports at any level does seek some sort of professional counseling because, to be honest with you, there is a degree of difficulty when it comes to transitioning from what you've known for so long, when it comes to playing a sport, knowing what's demanding of you for so long. We as athletes have a set schedule, and we know exactly what we're going to see. We know exactly where we have to be. We know exactly right down to the last second. And if we're not there, we obviously have to take care of that fee that will be incurred by not being where you're supposed to be when you need. But for the most part, we as athletes have always had to surround our lives around the schedule and the clock.
Yeah.
So I think seeking somebody out to speak to you about making the transition from being in that lifestyle to being in a lifestyle where you may have to work at a different kind of pace and a different type of environment, I feel like everybody should be able to help somebody, have somebody speak to them about making that transition.
Well, as you know, Colin, that's I'm not a counselor. In fact, I want to try to get there before they need counseling. But I'm an advisor on the mental side of the performance and making those connections. So I'm hoping that we don't have high performance players get to that level where they need therapeutic counseling. They need more life counseling, game counseling, interaction counseling about how to work with their teammates. As you know, when you went into the pros at a young age, you're on your own. Paying bills, interacting with people of the opposite sex, you're on your own. It's different than college. And people like Johnny Manziel had a difficult time with that. And then with that being said, there's the counseling that coaches need. Like when Lynch hired Shanahan for the 49ers, there was a chance that they might be able to get a hold of what's the Washington Redskins quarterback that just went to Minnesota? Who was the quarterback? Yes, Kirk Cousins, and Kyle Shanahan thought that Cousins he might have a chance for Kirk Cousins to come to the 49ers. Well, he didn't anticipate Belichick's move in changing the whole side of things. So where do you think Jimmy Garoppolo's head was at when he got traded to the 49ers to a coach who wasn't exactly sure he wanted him? And a head coach doesn't have to worry about what's in the head of the quarterback. You're here, you got to perform. If you don't, next man up, right?
That's true.
So how do they handle that, Colin? How do they handle that next man up attitude?
It's honestly, it comes down to the fact that there are people who are paid to constantly recruit guys, constantly scout guys, constantly see into the guys' past, and constantly, look at guys' capabilities when they get into the lineup. So the fact that Garoppolo had the opportunity to step in and play while Brady was out, I think gave those guys, as well as that entire offseason, because they didn't know it at all what Brady's availability was going to be. So they definitely poured into everything Garoppolo that offseason, preparing him for the entirety of that season had they lost Brady due to the suspension possibly being the season. So they poured everything into him, and he soaked everything up, and he was already, second, third round draft pick. So he came out pretty high as a quarterback and showed that he had the ability to play at the level anyway. When he stepped into the role prior to the injury, he showed that he had the ability to do it. So it was rather interesting that they traded him away, considering that he was the franchise, in my opinion, at the time, next to Brady's departure. But at the same time, the fact that they were able to trade him away did offer a lot for that franchise, the 49ers. And you do wonder what a head coach is thinking when it comes to decisions that are made like that. But at the same time, when you aren't completely, at times you just have to allow management to do what they do, and allow the people that work the hardest at scouting these guys and looking at what these guys are able to do when they get in the game, trusting them. And you got to get a guy that produces when he gets the opportunity, and goes undefeated once he gets his starts out there in San Francisco. I think he has up to this point shown that he's exactly who he thought he was.
Well, and here's what's interesting to me. Before that happened, before those numbers hit the table for Jimmy Garoppolo, the press had gotten some comments from either Lynch or Shanahan or both that said that, Shanahan said, I wish I had Kirk Cousins. So maybe those thoughts from the press it motivated Jimmy G to get himself together and do the performance that he did. But there's not every player's like that. What do you say to a kid, a player that hears those kind of words that have nothing to do with their ability to deliver? I mean, it gets in their heads. It weighs them down. What do you say to them? Or do you say anything? Or you just let them go?
There's only one thing that I know in this world that I can control, and that is me. I can't control the actions of the man that's making the decisions. I can't control the actions of the man that's timing that 40. I can't control the actions of the man that's up there on the camera. What I can control is what I put in front of me.
Yeah.
What I can control is what my opinion is like when my opportunity presents itself. What I can control is making sure that I'm prepared fully when my number's called. When somebody calls on me to step in the lineup, when I'm prepared, then that's what I can control.
And for young
that's what we're constantly hyped on. That's what we constantly get hammered is that you can't control the media's outtake. You can't control what they're putting out there. All you can control is what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so do that to the best of your ability, and everything else will be fine.
And what's interesting to me is that is a common phrase I hear from guys like yourself and guys still in the league that have been successful, and that's a key component to their success. And here's the actions that I hear them take is that they're in the clubhouse or at the stadium at 6 o'clock in the morning when the coaches are working out, but now they see the Jimmy Garoppolo working on his footwork, working on his throwing motion. Outside of anything else they do, he's putting in the extra time because he can control that and he can be part of that. So that's a huge, huge message. But I'm also interested in what or who did you rely on to keep you in that mindset, to keep the environment around you away from you so it didn't draw you down into that next man up negative thinking?
Well, no, my career is what put me in a place where I have to be in the mindset of not thinking that anything would be happening. To be honest with you, I wasn't drafted. I was cut numerous times throughout my career when I felt like I was possibly better than the next person. And mentally, I allowed a lot of that to drain me and allowed it to not motivate me to begin with. Once I got the final, once I was in Detroit and I got cut, was there twice within 2 days, being brought back for practice squad and then released again. I got it in my mind that if I get another opportunity, I'm not holding anything back. And a lot of times you get caught up in counting numbers, you get caught up in watching the next man to you, the man on the left or your right, when you have to look into the man within yourself. And it took me a while to get that. And once I got that, I understood that the mantra that a number of men take that are athletes, that take their game to the next level, they understand that there's somebody out there, somebody you never meet in your life that's out there, that's training, that's working, that's watching video, whatever it is. They're doing something to better themselves, so they're ready for whatever their opportunities present themselves. They're prepared. That's the mindset that I took into every off season, every day during this season, to keep my body in the best possible shape that I could be in. And once I was able to make that leap, I was able to stamp out a career for myself.
Well, and Colin, with that mindset and all that preparation, you need to have really good energy. So I'm going to have us listen to a message from our nutritionist at 360 Performance Talk, Nikki Burnett. Here's a message from Nikki about energy snacks that will help move that effort forward in a good way.
Life Nutrition, and what a great question you have regarding what kind of foods we want to keep in our backpack for quick support. I know if I'm traveling, if I'm in the mountains backpacking, I always want to have some healthy nutrient-dense foods that I can reach for in a pinch. So the things that I look for first would be jerky. Any kind of jerky is great because it's high in protein, but we want to make sure it's healthy. And what I mean by that is if we're looking for beef jerky, we want it to be 100% grass-fed. If we're looking for turkey jerky, we want it to be 100% pasture-raised. Bison jerky is a great option because legally it has to be 100% grass-fed. And then there's salmon jerky, as long as it's wild caught, is great because it's high in protein and high in omega-3 fatty acids. Another thing that I'll do is have raw nuts and seeds on hand. They're high in fat, high in fiber, so they can give a good energy boost as well as keep you satiated. A lot of times I'll also add dried fruit. As long as there's no added sugar, dried fruit is a great option to add to your trail mix. Lastly would be coconut flakes. I like coconut flakes because they're lightweight, but they're really high in good, healthy fats. So you can take those coconut flakes. You could also add those to your trail mix, and that would be a really great option. So thank you so much, and I look forward to talking to all of you again soon.
Well, that's my wonderful colleague and friend Nikki on nutrition. And Colin, I recommend that to you highly. I've heard rumors about your snacking habits.
What kind of rumors have you heard?
You've been hiding things in certain places that nobody's known about and tapping into it. You know, I'm just thinking of you, brother. Just making sure you're okay. Get that good high protein snacks.
I tell you what, I didn't get this thing on my own. I'm sure it wasn't something where I ever had to concern myself with trying to keep my size or anything like that. So she's right on, spot on. The one thing that I kept on, especially during the years, I would make sure I had good snacks. I probably have a sandwich with some lunch meat on there with a nice multi-grain bread. And make sure I have that before and after I walk up the field. More so after I walk up the field. You know, while you're out there performing for a good 2.5 hours, get that good starch and that good protein in you right away. You know, it helps stave off some of those negatives that you have when you train as long as you do. So,
well, and that's good stuff.
Absolutely. You got to make sure that you replenish yourself as quickly as you can once you walk off the field.
So we're getting close to the end, Colin. I got to ask you this. You mentioned Kay. Kay's wonderful. Give her our best. But the kids, how are the kids doing? Baby's doing good?
The kids are good. We got soccer coming up tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and we got flag football starting next Sunday. So, we're ripping and running. The kids are the priority. After having a successful career, I'm glad that I can spend as much time as I can with them and really be a part of their lives as young people and really pour into them as much as I can. So I'm excited for them. And, all these opportunities I continue to have.
Well, mention to the girls that one of the things we talked about was the National Women's Soccer League starts their 6th season tomorrow, and the Lifetime Network has the contract to bring games to the fans. And at 3:30 tomorrow, your time, Eastern time, Lifetime will be broadcasting the first game of the season, where the Portland Thorns are playing the North Carolina Courage. So. Dial it in. We're talking about the leagues and league updates. We try to be gender neutral and fair. We're ending our show today with Colin Cole. He is the founder and chief cook and bottle washer for the Cole Group, the colegroup.com. And let me remind everybody again, take a look at kcole.com. That's KAYE. Cole.com to see how you can support leukemia, and also take Colin's challenge about sending your Goldilocks, your wonderful dreads, your ginger red hair, whatever it is, and shaving it off. Go full Monty, shave it off, and contribute human hair to the creation of wigs and hair pieces for those unfortunate through the therapies that cancer many times gives people a balding look. And that's an awesome challenge, Colin. Listen, brother, I am so.
Listen, I want to mention. I want to make sure that we remember that I got my own. I'm doing the $50,000. I'm trying to raise through my own fundraising for my wife's candidacy.
Awesome. There's the target.
I'm shaving off the old 17 years worth of hair that I've been keeping on top of my head. So.
Hey, get after it, brother. Post it on Facebook. I'll share it. Let's make sure it happens. Thank you so much for being with me today. That's Colin Cole, University of Iowa alumni, NFL alum, and Carolina Panther. And we're gonna run it out with our breathe tune that we do every time we talk. And wishing everybody the best for a weekend. Colin, take care, my friend.
Thank you so much, Ro. Thank you for having me on. Everybody, Colin Cole 91 on Twitter, Colin Cole on Facebook and Instagram. So go out there and give me a follow. I'll be keeping you posted on everything.
Take care, my friend. All right, that's Colin Cole. Good weekend, everybody. Thank you, Henry. You're older. I found that out. You're older than me. Have a great day and breathe, people.
I may be older, but I'm sweeter. This is still long.
I know. That's okay. Thank you, everybody, for being with us today. It was a great show.